let's start with the elephant in the room here, the story that doesn't go away. It's inflation. Now, when we spoke back in April, you weren't so concerned by looking at the numbers at the time, but you did say inflation was coming. Where are we at today? How massive of a problem is it?
Sure. We're 6 months down the road. Here's the thing, Danielle. Inflation is potentially a huge problem and a huge threat, but in my view, it's not coming. It's just about over, in the sense that we've seen peak inflation as of now, and it'll start to go down a lot faster than people expect. Going back to April, in April, May, and June, I'll say even into July. I actually expected the inflation, as did a lot of analysts, and there was a reason for that, which has to do with what are called base effects. So you have, not to get too technical, but you have to know how the government calculates inflation that we all read about in the headlines, and they take it monthly, but they do it year over year. So April 2021 was compared to April 2020, May 2021 was compared to May 2020, and so forth. And that's just how they do it. Then they take the monthly year-over-year increase, they annualize it. There's a little math, but basically times 12, a little more to it than that, but that's basically it. And then that's the headline number you hear, up 6% or up 7%, et cetera. Well, if you look at April, May, June, July 2021, year over year, what was going on in April, May, June, July of 2020? That was the worst depression, worst collapse of the US economy since 1946. So yeah, not only, go back to 2020, prices were actually going down. So when you got to 2021, you would expect them to go up. That would be perfectly normal in a year-over-year comparison. There's some of the better analysts actually, so let's use 2019 as a base year because it was unaffected by COVID, but be that as it may, so we expect it. So the question was it transitory, in Jay Powell's famous phrase, famous word, or would it peter out? Well, you wouldn't find out until the fourth quarter of 2021, because if you and third quarter and fourth quarter, because if you go back to 2020, the economy was booming in the third quarter. That just as the second quarter was the greatest collapse, one of the greatest collapse, third quarter was one of the greatest increases. So that would tend to erase the base effects, and you'd be looking at something closer to real inflation or something that might be persistent. So there I would say when we got to September, October, November, even now we have some December data, that inflation has persisted. So it did last longer than I thought. But I'm sticking with the view that it's going to go away pretty quickly, and we've seen the peak.